Hey Midnights! We hope you enjoy our stories. Next one, Aokigahara, Japan's Forest of Suicides and Unanswered Questions. Don't forget to subscribe. Aokigahara, also known as the Sea of Trees, translated Jukai, is a 35 square kilometer forest that lies at the northwest base of Mount Fuji in Japan. Its serene beauty, characterized by a dense canopy of ancient trees, winding paths, and a unique volcanic terrain, belies a darker, more somber reputation. Aokigahara is tragically renowned as one of the world's most frequent sites for suicide, a stark contrast to the natural splendor it possesses. This essay will delve into the profound mystique of Aokigahara, exploring its geological origins, ecological distinctiveness, the cultural and psychological factors contributing to its tragic reputation, its current status, the enduring mysteries that shroud it, and the most prominent cases that have brought it to global attention. Aokigahara's landscape is a direct result of Mount Fuji's volcanic activity, specifically the great eruption of 864 CE that laid down a massive field of hardened lava. Over the past millennium, a tangled forest has grown on this porous, solidified rock. The forest floor is primarily composed of this relatively young volcanic soil, which, coupled with the dense growth, creates a unique and challenging environment. The lava rock is notoriously difficult for plants to penetrate, resulting in a shallow root system for many trees, making them susceptible to toppling in strong winds. However, the sheer density of the forest, with its closely packed trees, often provides a natural windbreak. The density of the trees is so profound that it blocks out much of the sunlight, creating an eerie, perpetual twilight within the forest. The ground is uneven, riddled with small caves and depressions, and covered in a thick layer of moss and organic matter. Due to the high iron content in the volcanic soil, compasses often malfunction, disorienting visitors and contributing to the forest's mystique as a place where one can easily get lost. The quiet is equally striking. The density of the trees absorbs sound, leading to an almost unnerving silence that can amplify feelings of isolation and despair. Adding to the unsettling atmosphere, visitors often report an almost imperceptible chill in the air, even on warm days, a coldness that seems to emanate not from the weather, but from the very ground itself. The ancient, gnarled roots that snake across the volcanic terrain often resemble skeletal fingers, reaching out from the earth, seemingly grasping at the unseen. Ecologically, Aokigahara is a vibrant ecosystem supporting a diverse range of plant and animal life, including various species of trees, fungi, insects, and mammals. Yet, despite its macabre reputation, it remains a testament to nature's resilience, with life thriving even in seemingly inhospitable conditions, a stark paradox that only deepens its enigmatic nature. Aokigahara's association with death and suicide is not a recent phenomenon but rather a complex interplay of historical, cultural, and psychological factors. Its history as a place of profound solitude and finality stretches back centuries. Historically, the forest has been linked to the practice of yubasut, meaning abandoning an old woman, a legendary practice in feudal Japan where elderly or infirm relatives were sometimes taken to remote places and left to die during times of famine or hardship. While the historical veracity of widespread yubasut is debated, the folklore undoubtedly contributed to the forest's grim reputation as a place of abandonment and death. The echoes of these forgotten souls are sometimes said to linger in the deep recesses of the forest, feeding into the pervasive melancholic atmosphere and blurring the lines between myth and a more chilling reality. Furthermore, Mount Fuji itself, like other mountains in Japan, has long been considered a sacred space, as are the forests that surround them. For over a millennium, ascetic Buddhist monks have retreated to forests, including those at the base of Fuji, to practice extreme forms of self-denial and meditation that sometimes ended in death, such as the pursuit of self-mummification. While not directly suicide, this historical association with intentional self-sacrifice and spiritual death within the forest's depths may have subtly cemented its image as a place where life could deliberately end, where the veil between worlds might thin. Some even whisper of ancient ley lines converging beneath its dense canopy, amplifying its mysterious pull. In modern times, Aokigahara's notoriety as a suicide site gained significant traction following the publication of certain fictional and non-fictional works. One influential novel from the 1960s depicted two lovers ending their lives in the forest, a portrayal that inadvertently popularized the location for romantic suicides and, more broadly, for those seeking to end their lives. This literary association was further amplified by a controversial 1990s publication that explicitly described Aokigahara as the perfect place to die, even offering practical advice on how to navigate the forest and avoid detection. The widespread nature of this particular text tragically contributed to the forest's grim renown, with copies reportedly found near the remains of some victims, adding another layer of macabre instruction to its allure. Psychologically, several factors contribute to Aokigahara's appeal for those contemplating suicide. The forest's extreme density and vastness offer unparalleled isolation and privacy, which can be appealing to individuals who wish to die without being discovered or intervened with. The very act of entering its depths feels like stepping outside the bounds of the living world, a final, definitive departure. For some, the idea of disappearing into the vastness of the forest may represent a final symbolism of escape from their problems, a quiet fading away into nature. The overwhelming sense of being swallowed by the trees can be a perverse comfort to those seeking ultimate oblivion, a place where their existence might simply cease to be. The forest's established reputation as a suicide spot can also create a contagion effect, where knowledge of others having chosen the location influences subsequent individuals to do the same. This phenomenon is well documented in suicide research, and the pervasive sense of despair left behind by previous victims is believed by some to weigh heavily on new arrivals, an invisible current pulling them deeper into the same darkness. Lastly, while there have been efforts to destigmatize mental health issues in Japan, traditional cultural attitudes towards suicide, which, unlike many Abrahamic religions, do not carry a strong religious stigma and have historically accepted certain forms of suicide, like seppuku, in contexts of honor or responsibility, may contribute to the choice of a private, isolated death. This cultural heritage, coupled with modern societal pressures like economic hardship, overwork, and social isolation, creates a complex backdrop against which Aokigahara has emerged as a tragic hotspot, a place where the despair of the living seems to converge with the lingering whispers of the dead. The preference for Aokigahara as a site for suicide in Japan stems from a confluence of factors, both practical and psychological, deeply intertwined with Japanese culture and the forest's unique characteristics. Its extreme density and vastness offer unparalleled isolation and privacy. For individuals who wish to die privately, without being discovered or intervened with, the forest provides a sense of anonymity and a guarantee of being lost to the outside world, aligning with a cultural preference for not burdening others, even in death. The dense canopy and thick undergrowth ensure that one's final moments are truly private, hidden from the prying eyes of the world, becoming just another secret swallowed by the jukai. The forest's established reputation and copycat effect, amplified by widespread accounts and anecdotal information, create a powerful suggestion. For someone contemplating suicide, the idea that others have chosen this location can validate their own choice, making it seem like a known solution or a path already trodden, a tragic cycle where the very fame of the place draws more individuals into its embrace. There's a grim allure in following a path already worn by despair, as if drawn by an unseen force. Beyond its recent reputation, Aokigahara has a historical connection to death, steeped in mythology and folklore of yūrei, vengeful spirits, and other supernatural elements. For some, this spiritual or mystical association with death might lend a certain, albeit dark, appeal or perceived legitimacy to ending one's life there, a sense of joining a lineage of souls lost in the forest. Whispers of lost spirits are said to guide those who enter with despair in their hearts, their forms sometimes glimpsed in the peripheral vision, or their mournful sighs carried on the unmoving air. Despite its dangers, the forest's profound silence and natural beauty can be misinterpreted by those in despair as a tranquil, serene place for a final act. The idea of returning to nature or simply fading away into the vast, quiet wilderness can be appealing to someone seeking an end to their suffering, a peaceful dissolution into the earth, perhaps even a chance for their own spirit to join the others who roam its depths. The disorientation and finality inherent in the forest's geological properties, such as the uneven terrain and the magnetic anomalies that affect compasses, make it notoriously easy to get lost. For someone determined to commit suicide, this difficulty in navigating or finding one's way back can reinforce the sense of irreversible commitment, removing any lingering doubts or options for return. The dense canopy also prevents rescue helicopters from easily spotting individuals. Once deep within, the forest closes around you, sealing off escape routes both literal and metaphorical, as if the very trees conspire to hold you. Many paths are tragically marked not by trail signs, but by discarded items, bottles, shoes, personal effects, left behind by those who never returned, silent monuments to vanished lives, their meaning lost to the wind. While incredibly dense, Aokigahara is still relatively accessible from major population centers, particularly Tokyo, by public transport and short walks. This combination of relative ease of access and profound seclusion makes it a unique and tragic draw, a readily available gateway to the unknown. Aokigahara's tragic reputation is sadly underscored by the persistent numbers of suicides within its boundaries. While official figures are often no longer publicly released by Japanese authorities to avoid further sensationalism and the copycat effect, historical data and accounts from previous decades provide insights into the scale of the issue. For many years, authorities conducted annual searches for bodies in the forest. Reports from the early 2000s indicated that dozens of bodies were found annually, with figures sometimes exceeding 100 in particular years. For instance, more than 100 bodies were recovered in 2003, surpassing the number from the previous year. In 2010, dozens of confirmed suicides were recorded out of over 200 reported attempts. Before authorities stopped releasing specific numbers, it was widely known to be one of Japan's leading suicide locations. The true total number of lives lost in Aokigahara is likely much higher than publicly reported figures, given the forest's density and the difficulty of finding all bodies. The discovery of remains, often partially consumed by animals or decaying amidst the thick moss, is a regular and grim reality for those who patrol the forest, their silent witness to countless final moments. Consistent with national trends in Japan, a disproportionate number of suicides in Aokigahara are by males, comprising over 70% of suicide deaths nationally. While specific figures for Aokigahara alone are scarce, this national pattern strongly suggests that the majority of those who die by suicide in the forest are men. The reasons for this male predominance are complex, often linked to societal pressures, economic factors, and cultural expectations placed upon Japanese men. While a precise average age for Aokigahara victims is not regularly publicized, national Japanese suicide data indicates patterns that likely extend to the forest. Historically, older males, particularly those in their 50s, 60s, and even 75+, have comprised a significant portion of suicide deaths in Japan. More recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a notable increase in suicides among men aged 20 to 29 and 40 to 49, and across various age groups for women, 20 to 69 years. This suggests that while older males have traditionally been a prominent demographic, younger individuals and women are increasingly affected by the broader societal pressures leading to suicide. Direct, explicit statements from relatives of Aokigahara suicide victims are rare in public discourse, largely due to the intense stigma surrounding suicide in Japan and the private nature of such tragedies. Japanese cultural norms often lead families to maintain privacy and silence around suicide to preserve honor and avoid further emotional distress. However, general sentiments expressed by authorities and prevention efforts hint at the immense grief and despair experienced by these families. The warning signs placed at the forest's entrance, such as "Think carefully about your children, your family and your life is a precious gift from your parents," directly appeal to the familial bonds that are deeply valued in Japanese society. These messages reflect an understanding of the profound impact suicide has on loved ones, aiming to evoke a sense of responsibility and connection that might deter individuals from taking their lives. The overall lack of public testimony also underscores the deep pain and private mourning endured by those left behind. For the families, the silence from the forest is often more agonizing than any public outcry, leaving them to grapple with unanswered questions and a profound sense of loss, made heavier by the unsettling knowledge of where their loved one chose to end their life. Aokigahara's somber reputation is a matter of profound concern within Japan, and the Japanese press and news outlets generally approach the topic with a mix of discretion, concern, and a focus on preventative measures. Unlike some sensationalist foreign media, Japanese reporting tends to avoid overly graphic details or glorification, understanding the delicate nature of suicide and the potential for a copycat effect. Japanese media generally adheres to a more responsible approach when reporting on suicide, in line with national guidelines aimed at preventing contagion. This involves avoidance of sensationalism, where direct, graphic descriptions of bodies or methods of suicide are typically eschewed, and the focus is rarely on the macabre aspects that some international outlets highlight. There's a strong emphasis on prevention, with news reports often featuring interviews with local officials, police, and volunteers actively involved in patrols, searches, and the placement of warning signs in the forest, highlighting efforts to deter suicides and offer help. An increasing tendency is to focus on mental health, linking the Aokigahara phenomenon to broader issues of mental health in Japan, discussing societal pressures, economic hardships, and the lack of support systems that might lead individuals to despair. Furthermore, discretion on numbers is key. While historical data on the number of bodies found was sometimes released, in recent years, Japanese authorities and consequently, the press, have largely stopped publicizing exact figures. This is a deliberate strategy to reduce the forest's allure as a suicide hotspot and prevent it from being seen as a validated or well-known destination for self-harm. Reports may also touch upon the impact on local communities around Aokigahara, who are often the first responders or have to live with the forest's reputation. The media sometimes supports government or NGO public awareness campaigns aimed at suicide prevention, often featuring experts or personal stories, handled with great care, to encourage seeking help. Finally, in response to foreign sensationalism, particularly certain widely publicized online incidents, Japanese press reaction is typically one of strong condemnation and disappointment, emphasizing the disrespect shown to both the deceased and Japanese cultural sensitivities surrounding death and mental illness. Japanese authorities have made efforts to combat the issue. Signs are posted at the entrance to the forest, urging individuals to reconsider and offering helpline numbers. Annual searches are conducted by volunteers and police to locate bodies and provide support for those contemplating suicide. However, the sheer size and density of the forest make these efforts incredibly challenging. While Aokigahara has seen numerous tragic instances, several cases have garnered significant public attention, further solidifying its place in global consciousness. Perhaps the most widely known cases are the sheer numbers of unnamed individuals whose bodies are discovered each year during annual searches. Since the 1970s, authorities have been conducting these searches, with reports indicating dozens of bodies found annually, sometimes exceeding 100 in particular years. The consistent discovery of these bodies, often with personal effects left behind, serves as a grim reminder of the forest's ongoing tragedy. These are not singular events but a continuous, heartbreaking phenomenon that underscores the profound despair many individuals face. Some of these discoveries are particularly harrowing, with personal items like photographs, notes, or even children's toys found neatly arranged beside the remains, offering a glimpse into the final thoughts of those lost. Another significant incident involved a controversial online video from 2017. A prominent American online personality uploaded a vlog from Aokigahara that featured the body of a deceased man. The video quickly went viral, attracting widespread condemnation for its insensitivity, disrespect, and perceived exploitation of a deeply tragic situation. While the individual's stated intention was reportedly to raise awareness about suicide, the approach was universally criticized for its sensationalism and lack of empathy. This incident brought Aokigahara to the forefront of international news, exposing its dark reality to a global audience, albeit in a highly controversial manner. The backlash was immense, leading to apologies, temporary suspension from certain online programs, and a broader discussion about ethical content creation and the portrayal of suicide online. The raw and unedited footage of a deceased individual, devoid of any real context or respect, sent shockwaves globally, exacerbating the forest's already grim image. Numerous documentaries and media coverage have also focused on Aokigahara, attempting to understand the phenomenon. Films exploring the topic have brought its story to wider audiences. While some media portrayals have been criticized for sensationalism, others have sought to shed light on the mental health crisis in Japan and the complex factors driving individuals to such desperate acts. These productions, for better or worse, have kept Aokigahara in the public imagination, contributing to its notoriety. Less publicized but equally significant are the unseen cases of rescues and interventions. Forest rangers, volunteers, and even other visitors have reported encountering individuals in distress, some of whom are successfully convinced to seek help. These cases, while not popular in the same vein as those involving discovery of bodies or controversial media events, represent moments of hope and intervention in a place often associated with ultimate despair. They highlight the ongoing efforts to prevent further tragedies and offer a glimpse into the human struggle that unfolds within the forest depths. The sight of a tent pitched deep within the forest, or a rope dangling from a tree, often serves as a silent, chilling warning to those who patrol its paths, a stark reminder of the battles fought and sometimes won, within its confines. Aokigahara's chilling reputation has naturally made it a compelling, albeit controversial, subject for cinematic adaptation. While several films have touched upon the forest, one of the most widely known and debated is a 2016 American horror film simply titled The Forest. The film stars Natalie Dormer as Sarah Price, an American woman who travels to Japan to search for her twin sister, Jess, who has mysteriously disappeared in Aokigahara. Despite warnings to stay on the path, Sarah enters the forest, driven by a twin intuition that Jess is still alive. As she delves deeper, she is confronted by the psychological torment and supernatural presences set to prey on those who wander into the forest. The most significant difference between the film and the reality of Aokigahara lies in its genre. The Forest is primarily a supernatural horror film. While Aokigahara's eerie atmosphere and the despair associated with it are real, the film introduces overtly supernatural elements, such as vengeful spirits directly manifesting and psychologically manipulating the characters. This transforms the real-world tragedy into a more conventional horror narrative. The film's plot is driven by external, fantastical threats, the ghosts and their illusions, rather than a deeper exploration of the very real psychological and societal factors that lead individuals to Aokigahara. The focus shifts from the internal struggles of those contemplating suicide to the external horrors encountered by an outsider. Furthermore, due to the sensitivity of the actual Aokigahara forest and Japanese authorities' unwillingness to permit filming there, the forest was primarily filmed in a different location in Serbia. This means the visual representation of the forest, while attempting to emulate Aokigahara, is not its authentic landscape. The genuine Aokigahara is far denser and more disorienting than the cinematic portrayal, often lacking the dramatic vistas shown in the film. The forest has been criticized for potentially sensationalizing the real tragedy of Aokigahara, reducing it to a backdrop for jump scares and supernatural tropes, contrasting sharply with the more discreet and respectful approach taken by Japanese media and local authorities. While the film attempts to incorporate the "don't stray from the path" warning, it ultimately uses the forest's stark history for entertainment, which can be seen as exploitative by some. Critics have also argued that the film, being a Western production, may not fully grasp or respectfully portray the complex cultural nuances surrounding suicide in Japan, including the historical context and the societal pressures that lead individuals to such a desperate act. The film's use of yūrei is a simplistic interpretation of Japanese folklore, often lacking the depth and cultural specificity found in traditional Japanese horror. While the forest brought Aokigahara to a wider global audience, its portrayal often prioritizes conventional horror elements over a sensitive or in-depth examination of the real-world issues associated with the location. Other adaptations, such as a 2013 Japanese drama mystery film or a 2015 contemplative film by an American director, have attempted different approaches, often focusing more on the human drama and psychological aspects rather than outright supernatural horror. Aokigahara remains a place of profound contradictions, a forest of breathtaking natural beauty marred by a pervasive aura of sadness and death. Its unique geological features, coupled with centuries of folklore and modern societal pressures, have forged its identity as a site of tragic pilgrimage. While the public often focuses on the grim statistics and sensational incidents, the true story of Aokigahara is far more nuanced, encompassing historical narratives, psychological vulnerabilities, and the ongoing efforts of individuals and organizations working to prevent further loss of life. Understanding Aokigahara requires looking beyond the macabre and acknowledging the complex interplay of nature, culture, and the human condition that has shaped this enigmatic sea of trees. It stands as a stark reminder of the global challenges of mental health and the desperate need for compassion, understanding, and support for those struggling in the shadows, its deeper mysteries perhaps forever beyond human comprehension.